This is the Believe in Georgia Dawgs podcast on the Believe Podcast Network.
It did. Joe Cox with an up and out. Wide open. Touchdown. Israel Troupe.
Snap to Young. Drops back. Pressure from the edges. He throws near sideline. And it's intercepted. Intercepted. Keely Ringo at the 21. Off he goes. 40, 50, 45, 40, 35, 30. Near sideline. Breaks the tackle. 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown. 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 Georgia.
Good evening, neighborhood. How about them dogs?
32, 18. Let the celebration begin.
All right. Welcome in. It's the Believe in Georgia Dawgs podcast on the Believe Network, also coming at you on Brinks.tv. Welcome in. Glad to have you. Our social media information is scrolling right underneath, and joining me, as always, is my main man, Israel Troupe. Israel, what's up, dude?
What up? Fresh off spring break, ready to get back into it, man.
Let's get it, man. Well, let's get into it. But first, we got a special guest. And before I introduce him, I want to let you know we are sponsored by we're presented by BetOnline. It's our partners at BetOnline. Continue to be the number one source for all your betting needs and sports info. They have the great Vegas casino games, poker. You can bet on MLB, which I'm going to start venturing into betting on baseball since I'm not going to get banned like Pete Rose did. So it's super easy to get started. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to join and use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, it's where the game starts. Well, if it sounds like I'm excited, it's because I am. We welcome on a very special guest. We're going to talk a little NFL draft. The draft is coming up. There's a lot of Georgia Bulldogs in this draft, and to help us discuss what these prospects look like is my man from the Believe in FCS Football podcast, as well as the NFL Draft Prospects podcast. It is Joe DeLeone. What up, man?
Not much. Getting excited for the NFL draft. We're getting really close, which means I get more and more antsy each week, and I get busier and busier each week. But we're excited for the draft. I'm certainly excited for the draft. And this is a great year for Georgia players, too, to discuss.
Absolutely. Well, while we got you for a brief moment, looking at the list of prospects, it's rather long and rather long of guys that could very easily go in the first two rounds. Out of this whole list, just off the top here, before we dive into anybody specific, who on this list jumps out at you the most? Who do you think will have the most impact? Who do you think possibly goes first?
I think the first player of the Georgia guys that's going to get selected is definitely Jordan Davis, the big, massive defensive tackle who at one point was 360 pounds. I think he was down to 340 at the combine, but still 6'6", 340. He moves as fast as he does at 4.78. Human beings are not supposed to move that quickly, and I think a team is going to really fall in love with his value as a run defender. He is a little bit weak as a pass rusher, and I don't think that you're going to get 3-down impact from Jordan Davis. But, man, the dude is just hard to stop. You're not going to double-team him. He is really, really good. But I think an underrated name in who can provide a really early impact is Lewis Cine, the safety that they had this past year, who, again, tested better than expected. All these Georgia guys tested really, really well at the combine. But in particular, Lewis Cine, really hard-hitting guy, very, very aggressive. Love the way that he tackles. To me, I think somebody maybe at the end of the first round, early second, could get a really nice plug-and-play safety in Lewis Cine.
Absolutely. And when you look at Lewis Cine, one of the things I noticed is, sometimes that he will jump on a low route, and kind of bust his coverage a little bit. Is there any concerns with Lewis Cine? I know, all the stuff he brings to the table, athleticism, playing the ball in the air, and obviously his hitting. What are the things that could, for Lewis Cine that he could improve or will need to improve as he goes through his NFL journey?
Yeah, you hit on the one thing. He's a very aggressive player, and when you have guys that are aggressive, they're always looking for that big hit, the next big play to make, and I think that maybe he reels something like that in, that's going to help a player like Lewisine. But, I mean, overall, I think he's a guy that's going to provide a significant impact for a team early on, because he's one of the more – I mean, they're all really polished. It's hard to say who's more polished of the group. But I think that he hasn't been brought up enough, and instead we're kind of hyping up the two linebackers that Georgia has with Quay Walker and Nicolby Dean. But, you know, to me, I think Lewisine definitely really high-impact player. If he works on that aggressiveness, maybe jumping things a little bit too much, you know, that's one big thing for me.
Israel?
No, I completely agree. I think he struggled a little bit at the beginning of the season because of that exact thing. You know, he wanted to come in and knock people's heads off, which I'm fine with as safety. Mm-hmm. He reminds me a lot of he's an undersized Greg Blue. You know, mm-hmm. Greg Blue the same way. Greg Blue will bust a coverage in a minute, but he'll also knock the hell out of you too. You know, so Lewisine is just tiny dynamite. You know, so you can tell as the season got progressed along. You know, he started playing zone a little bit better. In the last two games, I mean, he showed out. You know, he was able to cover, he was able to hit, he was able to fill the alley. So I think his ceiling's high. You know, I also agree. I think that Jordan Davis would be the first dog taken simply from the fact that people are looking for defensive linemen. I mean, if you look at the NFL right now, people are running the ball. Yes, they're going to pass the ball, but it's more so predicated on the run game now. So I think people are looking for run stoppers now. So the defensive guys from Georgia that are in the draft, I mean, they entered at the right time, because that's exactly what teams are looking for, defensive guys.
Now, when you look at defensive linemen, you know, Devonta Wyatt, Travon Walker, where do those guys fit?
Yeah, Travon Walker, we're starting to get that buzz for him, and I completely blanked on him possibly being the first guy. I forget about Travon Walker so often because we lump these three guys together: Kayvon Thibodeau, Aiden Hutchinson, and then now Travon Walker. He's kind of snuck up on us. He originally was somebody who was probably going to be in the middle of the first round, but as time has slowly developed here, he's shown that he's a great athlete. He's shown that he can move really, really well. I think what might hold him back a little bit is determining, is he a true edge? Is he a 3-tech? Where does he 100% fit best? But I think Travon Walker, really, really good. There's a reason why he's in that conversation for that Jaguars pick, and maybe potentially his name's just being brought up because they're trying to not really play their hand on who they're going to take at that first spot. Maybe they're hoping a team is obsessed with Travon Walker and trades up with them so they can get out of that first spot. But I think Walker definitely one of the best of the bunch. This is certainly a really, really good defensive line group. Devonta Wyatt, though, deserves to be in this conversation as well. I think what Wyatt provides more than Davis, certainly not the same level of run defender, but we know that Devonta Wyatt can play more downs. Again, not as big, not as much of a run defender, but I think with Devonta Wyatt, you're going to get more usage out of him.
Now, Israel, with Travon Walker, like his versatility and the way that Dan Lanning and Kirby Smart used him, in zone blitz schemes and getting him in passing lanes and things like that, what do you think that adds to his value?
His value skyrockets at this point because, you got a guy who, like you say, he can be a 3 technique, he can put his hand in the dirt, he can stand up, he can cover the flats, he can cover the hook curl zone. In the dynamic of the NFL, you got to have guys everywhere. So he's a hybrid guy. So it just depends on what scheme the team's running. Where does he fit? Where does he feel comfortable at? Because that's the main thing. Where does he feel comfortable at? Does he feel comfortable in 3-point stance? Does he feel comfortable standing up? To me, after watching him in these last couple of games, his hand in the dirt, he's firing up the ball. But at the same time, if he's comfortable, standing up and being able to cover the flats, being able to be a true edge rusher, kind of like your Von Millers, your bigger guys. What's this for the Browns? Is it Garrett?
Miles Garrett, yeah. Miles Garrett, the TJ Watt
like
types where they're standing up edge. They'll play a wide 9 or a 5 and they can play both effectively.
Yeah, he's kind of like that guy, and he's getting leaner. We mentioned Jordan Davis lost 20 pounds. Walker's lost a little bit of weight too. He's looking leaner, bigger, and lean. So, Wyatt is definitely the dark horse of this group because, he can play every down, whether it's
Yes,
pass, whether it's rush. His durability is a little bit more, but I also think that Jordan Davis's durability is going to be a lot better now, too, since he's lost some weight. I think he's figured it out, like, hey, I can't be almost 400 pounds if I want to play in the NFL. You know right? What I mean? So,
yeah. And he's going to use that to, obviously he knows that his pass rush is not as strong, but he's a guy that, a 3-4 team or an odd front team picks him and he plays that zero nose and he can just push that pocket from the interior and kind of force that quarterback to not be able to step into throws or have to slide and get off his spot. So, I think that's the value he brings. You're not going to see a Warren Sapp type pass rush out of Jordan Davis, but you will see somebody who's going to command a lot of attention.
Yeah, that's what you're getting out of him, and maybe he develops a little bit more and his stamina has developed a little bit more, which probably will be the case that he's dropped 20 pounds. Maybe he loses a little bit more when whatever NFL team ends up on, they try to get him to lose a little bit more weight. If he does stay on the field for all 3 downs, you're really just putting him out there to take up space. Like, he's strong enough to push the pocket. He's not going to have any moves. He's not going to. He's not going to do anything crazy to create space and make all these plays. He's not Aaron Donald. He's not going to have 20 sacks, but he's big enough to take up space. He's like Vita Vea is what you can get out of him.
Yeah, absolutely. And got to stop the run somehow, right?
Right.
And I really like, Devonta Wyatt. I kind of followed the Senior Bowl a little bit more this year than I usually do. But I think you're going to get great value out of him because the teams that are picking him back half of the first round, I think you're going to get a really good, versatile defensive tackle.
Yeah, Devonta Wyatt, I think that you definitely get more versatility out of him than Jordan Davis. And Israel, I definitely agree with you. I think he could be the sleeper of the group of the defensive linemen among Walker, Davis, and him, because he provides multi-down value and he is a really, really good athlete. I think we were all so caught up with what Jordan Davis did at the NFL Combine that we overlooked the fact that Devonta Wyatt also tested really, really well as well. So I think more people should be paying attention to Devonta Wyatt. And I think that value is there, and it makes sense for him to be projected as a first rounder. And we were talking beforehand, Corey, I wouldn't be shocked if he goes before Jordan Davis because of that. It all is going to come down to whatever team wants to pick Jordan Davis. Are they willing to pick a guy that might only play 2 downs? And that's what might push Wyatt up a little bit more.
Yeah, no doubt. And looking at linebackers too, on the defensive in the defensive front. I mean, you look at guys like Nicolby Dean and Quay Walker, both really similar players. Israel, you and I, when we were talking about the Orange Bowl and the play that I saw that I knew Michigan was screwed was that play where they're in man coverage. Nicolby Dean, they line the running back out wide. Nicolby Dean's out there on him and goes in that fly motion and runs across the formation and then hawks him down for a 1-yard loss on a screen play. I knew right then and there, I was like, yeah, Michigan's screwed. They're not winning this game. So, other than the obvious athleticism advantages, what is Nicolby Dean going to bring to the team that's going to draft him? Where is his best fit?
Yeah, I think Nicolby Dean is a very instinctive player, and his impact is because he reacts really quickly. He changes direction really quickly. He finds the football very effectively. Admittedly, and I know this is going to sound rough to come on a Georgia podcast and talk about these 2 linebackers, but I'm not that high on either Quay Walker or Nicolby Dean. But the thing that is just tough with me with Nicolby Dean is that he's small, he's short, he's under 6 feet. And like the last time we had a guy like that was Devin Bush. And he was good for like a little bit at the beginning of his career, but hasn't been entirely healthy. And I see Nicolby Dean, like, I don't know if he's as fast as we really think he is. I think that the way he tracks the football so well is because of those instincts, because his change of direction skills is really, really good. And I almost just worry when he's not playing on a defensive line with all of those guys, how is he going to do if he's not getting all that extra time and room because they're taking up so much space, so much attention? That's the thing that worries me a little bit with Nicolby Dean. So for him, he needs to go somewhere that has an established defensive line, and probably similar to what benefited him in his time at Georgia in this last year, probably an established linebacker, willbacker that's already there that he can play next to, because he needs to benefit from everything working around him. Quay Walker, on the other hand, though, I think is a little bit more the opposite, where his instincts can be a bit hit or miss. He's a really good athlete. He flies all over the field, but those instincts, to me, I think need to be worked on a little bit more. And sometimes guys like Quay Walker, it's tough to really coach guys up on that if they're not reacting properly and they can't figure it out.
Yeah, Nicolby is a very smart player. You can tell, like you said, Cora, with that one play, you can tell there's a lot of film study with that. So that tells me right now that he watches film, he studies, he knows what they're going to do, how they're going to do it, when they're going to do it. And to your point, Joe, him being undersized, I mean, what's the best way to get better and to play is to watch film. So Nicolby Dean's going to do that. And I think that's going to be to his benefit because he is undersized. Up to most linebackers in this draft. So Quay Walker, on the other hand, his athleticism is what's going to get him. He's a very instinctive player, but like you said, his instincts are slow. He does cover a lot better. He's the harder hitter, in my opinion. He's definitely the most athletic one out of the two. So I'm looking at him being maybe late second, third round guy. I think, like you said, the game is evolved in the NFL. I mean, linebackers are dropping in coverage now, not as opposed to just stopping the run. So that's what they're looking for. If Nicolby Dean can do that, he studies. I think he'll be taken definitely, before Quay. But I think Quay is at least, late second, maybe middle of third round type linebacker.
Yeah, I think he makes an immediate impact on special teams, and I think he gets into a rotation. To me, I think with his instincts and his athleticism matched up the way they are, I mean, a name that I thought got underdraft was Tay Crowder, a guy that has been in the lineup for the Giants. I think he's uber athletic, but he lacked instincts, and I think that's what killed him in the draft. But he came in, learned, watched film, and just became a pro, and I think has done quite well for the Giants. I kind of see something similar with that to Quay Walker, and Quay Walker's a more athletic version of Crowder.
Yeah, and Crowder has been like a special teams ace for the Giants. Like I'm a Giants fan, and I used to cover the Giants for SB Nation for a period of time, and I always thought that he was a really, really nice special teams player, and he's a pretty good coverage linebacker. But what kind of hurt him was, like you're talking about, he's not as athletic and his instincts weren't as good. So like Quay Walker, I think what's going to push him up definitely is that athleticism. Again, it's just if you can coach him up and you can get him to figure that stuff out and get that decision-making to improve in that speed, that's what's going to make him a great pro. And I definitely agree with you, Israel. I think he's a day two guy. He's somewhere going on day two. He fits amongst the top five in the linebacker group, but it's just a matter of what teams are looking for.
And I think he's got to go to an established program. Somebody that's really good on defense. Tennessee, Kansas City, the Rams. Somewhere like that. Maybe Denver, Seattle, somewhere that can has good defensive pedigree that can kind of build him along. And could use the help of special teams, and just kind of year one, special teams ace is the goal. Year two, you start to get in the lineup as a linebacker, and then year three, you're a starter. Into year two, into year three, you're a starter. So I think I see that kind of path for Quay Walker and Nicolby Dean. Again, I just think he's gonna be successful. Israel, you hit the nail on the head, I think, there, because he's just gonna know where to be, and he'll get stronger. Obviously he's not going to grow vertically, but he'll get stronger. He'll just be there, and he's just sheer determination, and he'll just be there. And he would be hell on a team like the Rams, where you have established guys in front of you. And I think you're right on with that as well. I think he benefits with having that protection. I think if these big, athletic, huge guards can get up on him, they'll swallow him up. But he's got to be, his athleticism and his, just his instincts. I think just knowing how to set up these linemen and how these blocking schemes work week to week. I think that'll serve him really, really well. So. I want to talk a little bit now on the offensive side of the ball. You have three guys that really jump out on the page: George Pickens, James Cook, and Samir White. You look at those three guys. Obviously, Pickens is the one who jumps off the page, being a dynamic wide receiver. He kind of fits in that 5 to 7 range when you list the top 10 receivers. What do you how do you see Pickens? What do you see him doing in the NFL? Where do you see him going? What's up with George Pickens?
Yeah, George Pickens, a really, really nice athlete, tall, long, fast receiver. There was a lot of hype built up for Christian Watson after he tested as well as he did, and very similar physical profile. Maybe not as flexible as Christian Watson was in what we saw from him at the Senior Bowl, but like heck, I think that Pickens deserves to be in that conversation as one of the early guys selected in the second round. And I agree with you in that he's like the 6th guy on the list, the guy that just doesn't make the cut in the top 5 of the receiver group. And there's probably going to be a run on receivers in the first round once Drake London and Olave and Garrett Wilson and Jamison Williams end up getting selected. That's when a team early on in the second round is going to snag up George Pickens. And I really like the value that he provides. If somebody wants to overdraft Christian Watson, who I'm very high on, I think Christian Watson is going to be a great pro based on what we've seen from him. You can kind of get a just as good version. Maybe it's like a slight step down, not by much, with George Pickens.
Yeah, I mean,
definitely. My thing is he's going to have to go to a team that has an established receiver room of mature receivers, because we all know what he can get into.
Yes. One of the things he tested really well was slamming somebody's head into a wall.
Yeah, he's a great kid, but you got to understand he's still a kid. So if it's me, if I'm a GM, I'm looking for somebody, who has an established receiver room somewhere. Like I think Tennessee would be good. Kansas City would be good. Just somewhere where he can learn from some older guys who's been in it. Just from he was out half the year this year. Had that little run in a couple of years ago with like at Georgia Tech and things like that. So he's going to have to go somewhere where he can mature a little bit more. Because we all know how the NFL is. There's nobody really holding your hand for in the NFL. You're making more than God can give anybody now, and you're by yourself. So having some older guys in that room with you that can kind of show you, hey, man, this is how we do things. This is how you do it. I'm not opposed to you having fun, but, this is how we got to handle our business so we keep getting paid.
Yeah, you got to be a pro.
So
you can't be doing that.
He's definitely going to have to go to a team that's got some great veteran leadership.
Now, his ACL recovery, has that impacted his testing or his pre-draft prospect or his pre-draft process?
I don't think so, because he came out of the recovery to the point where he participated a little bit at the end of the season, if I recall correctly. So he's recovered. He's not like Jamison Williams, who is still in his recovery process, and he obviously tore it in the national championship game. He seems fine. I think the testing numbers that we got from him are pretty accurate. Like a guy right now who's dealing with an injury, who I got the chance to talk to, Isaiah Likely, the Coastal Carolina tight end, and he was saying that he injured his knee right at the end of the season, at the beginning of his prep for the combine, and like that stuff hurt his numbers. But I think that George Pickens is far along in his recovery, so I don't think teams are going to be worried about that. We got to see him a little bit, and I think he should be good.
Okay, yeah, I know sometimes that can kind of cloud your judgment as far as what you see out of him and kind of where he falls in the list of receivers. Maybe teams are wary of picking him because of injury concerns. So that's just something that popped into mind. But Zamir White, James Cook. Obviously, James Cook is probably got the better pro tools. What about James Cook is going to help him at the next level?
Yeah, James Cook is kind of like a Dalvin Cook light, who's his brother, because they look very similar and like similar build, but he's like James Cook's like a little bit smaller. I think what you get with James Cook that's different than Dalvin's really, really quick. He's got good vision. He cuts really well, and he's very, very explosive, and he's one of the best running backs in the NFL for a reason. You don't have that same level of explosiveness with James Cook. He's capable of it. He's not big enough to really knock anyone over. But what's going to make him a nice add in the NFL for a team that maybe already has a number one running back or somebody that they want to pair with him is he's a really good receiver. He is going to provide you those extra yards coming out of the backfield. And that, to me, I think is what is going to help James Cook maybe get drafted over some of these other guys because of that receiving value. And it's talked about to death these days with you need running backs who can catch the football and provide value in the passing game. And I think Cook definitely fits that. And we saw exactly that in the final stretch of the season.
Most definitely. He's very Alvin Kamara-like in the NFL. I think he possesses some of the same tools that makes Alvin so good. Alvin can run the ball in between the tackles if he needs to. You can flex him out, throw him screens and things like that. So I think that's kind of the skill set that Cook is going to bring, for himself. And like you said, we all know Zeus is going to go one way, and that's straight ahead. So, I mean, having the ability to catch the ball out the backfield, being able to flex out and do some things outside the tackle box with the football, is going to be Cook's bread and butter. And whichever team gets him is going to get a versatile back. You see it now. Pittsburgh tried to use Najee Harris the same way. They have a very similar skill set. So he's not going to bruise it. You can't run him 30 times up the middle. Like no. They're the Derrick Henrys of the world, but you can do a lot of things. You can open up your playbook a little bit more and keep the same personnel in without having to change the running back.
You know what team I see, Joe, and feel free to call me crazy, but I envision James Cook on the Bills. They're in
totally see that.
They're in an empty formation. You got them split out away from Stephon Diggs, so you got all the attention on. You get Diggs and Gabriel Davis on the same side. You get all the attention over there, and all of a sudden James Cook is matched up with a linebacker, and Josh Allen throws a frozen rope over to him.
The only thing that deters me from that, because that I 1,000% agree with, they value that type of a running back. The only thing that deters me from him getting picked by Buffalo, unless he really falls, is that they just signed J.D. McKissick, and he kind of fits that role already. He's a really, really good receiver. But, I mean, heck, that might be another good parallel is the impact that J.D. McKissick provides, which is as a really, really good receiver. So for a team that wants that from Cook, you're definitely going to get that.
Or maybe he joins Big Brother up in Minnesota. I mean, they have a different philosophy now, so Kirk Cousins could use another weapon, and you definitely could put those two guys on the field at the same time.
That would be a really funny pairing to see.
I would love that.
I can't think of the last time we've had, or if that's even ever happened, two running back brothers in the same running back room.
Well, if Frank Gore comes back to the Chiefs, you could have a father-son running back duo.
He's never going to retire, it seems like sometimes.
Dude's 60 years old, and he's going to be lined up back there. So,
exactly.
Israel, anything on your mind as far as the draft goes? I mean, I know we're probably curious about what Zamir White's going to bring to the table, but anything on your mind?
Man, I'm just excited to see, kind of where our guys land. I think this is, in my opinion, I think this draft is more defensive loaded. I mean, you got the cat from Michigan, even though, one kind of hurt himself. I think he tore his Achilles, at the combine at their pro day. I think this is a very defensive loaded draft. I think this is what teams are going to be looking for, defensive guys. And in the skill group, I think it's a very receiver group loaded. There's not many quarterbacks coming out this year that I've seen that's kind of like, wow, this is the guy. You know what I mean? So, I'm just excited to kind of see. This is the first time as an offensive-minded guy that I'm excited to see where these defensive guys end up. Because I actually watched the NFL last year, and I actually enjoyed it. which is scary because I never watch the NFL unless Dallas is playing.
Yeah, I watched more NFL football, not related to my dynasty teams, more so than ever, just because I was just curious at how teams were looking on that. So, Joe, I'm curious what you think, and this is obviously off topic when it comes to the Georgia Bulldogs because Stetson Bennett is not in this draft, but quarterback wise, what do you think is going to happen there? Who's the first to go? Where do they go?
Oh man, that is the hot topic right now is the quarterbacks, and it's something that I don't want to touch with like a 10-foot pole because of whoever goes first. I really just don't know if any of these guys are going to be good. I at least like Malik Willis because he has the traits to be good. Like Jordan Love was drafted in the first round, and we're still waiting for him to progress, and he's still like probably a year away. And I think Malik Willis is going to be a 2-3 year away guy, but man, none of these other guys excite me. And I think if anyone goes first, it should be Malik Willis. There's the possibility that someone gets duped into drafting Kenny Pickett earlier.
I think that's going to be the Panthers.
Yeah, I keep hearing and seeing Panthers, which is really scary that's their solution to win now. But
that's fine by me.
Yeah, it clears up a lot of offensive lineman picks for some other teams if they decide to pass on an offensive lineman and they want to go with Kenny Pickett. But the one thing to keep an eye on is that possibility that Desmond Ritter ends up in the first round. There is some buzz building for that. Talked to some people, and I had Connor Rogers on my show today, and we were talking about that, and he thinks that there's a strong possibility that Desmond Ritter's the third guy off the board because of the boxes that he checks.
Yeah,
4 years at Cincinnati.
Big, powerful arm, yeah.
Yeah, great athlete, but just not consistently accurate.
No.
If I'm the Falcons, I'm trying to trade up and get Malik. I'm telling you right now. Malik,
you might be able to get him at 9. I mean, you might not have to trade up.
Yeah.
There's going to be so many defensive linemen and offensive linemen being taken and receivers, so you might not have to do anything because Carolina's going to probably do you a favor by taking Kenny Pickett. So, yeah. I know, right?
No. It's a terrible idea.
So, Joe, before we let you go, your Giants, what are they doing? Are they trading Saquon? What are they drafting? What's happening with the Giants?
It doesn't, man. The Saquon thing just stresses me out so much because like he should have been traded like forever ago. And I love Saquon. I was so excited when they drafted him, but just the misuse of him is just so infuriating. If they keep him, I think that he could be good.
He gets hurt in the most random ways too. Like it's like
right.
What happened? Nobody touched him. What happened?
It's like one of those things where he's so athletic. It's just like his body can't move as quickly as he wants to. Sometimes it's weird.
And then they just no help. No help whatsoever.
Honestly, if both those picks are offensive linemen, I would come out happy. I think I really believe what's going to end up happening. It's going to be a lineman and one of the edge rushers. I think after the nonsense we watched Dave Gettleman go through with his selections, they really need to be a little bit more conservative and pick best available lineman who's on the board, pick best available edge rusher on the board. Don't overthink it, and you come out a winner on the draft.
And let's go. And the Titans, what my hometown team up here, what do they draft a developmental quarterback? What happens there?
See, that was one of the teams that I saw the potential Desmond Ritter rumor for was, do they take him at the end of the first round? Which
not a bad deal. I mean, he can learn under Tannehill for 2 years, and
to be your backup. Do you really want to draft a backup in the first round?
No, not at all. When you need so much other stuff. I mean, if you can get a valuable backup in the second, third round, do it.
Yeah, I think that first round pick, though, like if they got Treylon Burks and the possibility that they might trade A.J. Brown because they don't want to pay him as much as he's asking for, that's a instant replacement. Similar styles, similar impact. So A.J. Brown or Treylon Burks would be a really nice replacement for him. Or heck, would play nice alongside him.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Joe, it was great to have you, man. We should do this more often. We might have you on to discuss post draft. Kind of what you think. We'll be in that window of not much to talk about otherwise. So we'll get into some post draft analysis. I always love me some post draft analysis. So can't get enough of that stuff. So
of course.
But we thank you for coming on, guys. Check out his podcast, Believe in FCS Football, Believe in NFL Draft Prospects podcast, and give him a shout.
Thanks, guys, for having me on. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Sure, man.
All right, Joe. So Joe DeLeone, man, great guest, man. He's just does his homework, man.
You got to. I mean, to talk about NFL, like I said, I just started watching NFL outside of my Dallas Cowboys this year. So, I mean, to know exactly what's going on, to be in the know, I mean, shoot, that takes talent to be able to do that.
It does. And he jumps to FCS football after that. I mean, that's even more talent. That's even more deep research you have to do. So, yeah, it's great, man. And he's if you listen early on, he was one of my first guests back in 2020. So that was a lot of fun just getting to know him. And I originally had him on to talk about one of Georgia's FCS opponents, and we ended up talking about draft prospects too. So and guys to look for. So he's a good guest, man, and we like having him.
Yeah, it's good stuff right there, especially with NFL stuff. I mean, that's a hard deal to keep up with all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. You got so many prospects and so many people and so many. It's just so much like numbers. Like you get paralyzed by numbers. Draft grade on this, combine numbers on that, pro day numbers. What are God? You just get. I don't envy NFL scouts. It'd be a cool job, but. A lot of numbers. Lots of numbers.
I don't even remember phone numbers, so I definitely forget people's that combine numbers.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that guy had a 10 12. That guy had a 13-inch, or is it feet in the broad? I don't even know what the measurement is in broad jump.
See what I mean?
I can't even make a joke because I don't even know the measurements. So yeah, no, that's really good. But I've been into these like YouTube documentaries that these NFL teams put out. Like I'm in no shape or form a Lions fan, but they have this series called Inside the Den. It's pretty good, actually. They do a good job with that. And building the Browns. They have like one Jets drive or something like that, or the flight or something like that with the Jets. And a lot of these NFL teams are doing these docu-series on their respective YouTube channels. The Cowboys don't have one, of course, and the Titans don't have one, of course. But you have all the, like Florida State has one. Florida has one. They all have them. They all have these docu-series things, and they're all, I get kind of immersed in those things. And the Lions coached the Senior Bowl, so. Mm-hmm. They coached the Senior Bowl team, so that was a nice look. That was Deuce Staley's head coaching debut. He was the head coach of one of the teams in the Senior Bowl.
Deuce.
So Israel, if you're ever you're not really a classroom teacher, so your planning period is spent doing other things. But if you ever get a chance to fall into a YouTube wormhole, definitely during my planning period when I'm grading in my classroom, I'll have one screen on, because I have like a desktop at school, and then I have this laptop that I'm working on right now, and so I'll have one screen on one of those things on YouTube because Netflix doesn't work at my school, and I'll have another screen doing my work. So,
I'll throw it up on the channels at my school.
Yeah, you're so lucky, dude. You get Netflix, Prime. Like I can't get any of that stuff.
But at least you have a planning period. I don't have one.
Oh yeah, I got two. Well, I got one each day. But so I'll say this: the weakest planning period on a block schedule is second block.
Yeah,
because like
third period is where it's at because it's right after lunch.
No, I have on A days, I have fourth period, which is our lunch block. So like I can like run out. Okay. And our lunch block is 2 hours long.
What time do y'all eat? Jesus.
Well, you have 3 lunches in there, so like the kids have like 30-minute lunches. So people that don't have fourth block planning, they have hour and a half of class and then the 30-minute lunch. So, but me, I can, on A days, if I want to go get something, I just roll out, and Chick-fil-A is right around the corner. Firehouse is right there. Blue Coast Burrito.
Hit him with that holla holla.
Yep.
I'll see y'all later.
Hit them deuces. I can go to Chick-fil-A and come back without them even knowing. I mean, no, I don't go anywhere if my principal's listening, which he may be. So I don't go anywhere. What are you talking about? But anyway, G-Day. What do you want? You want to G-Days this weekend? Snuck up on us.
Man, it definitely did. I watched all the Masters last week. Almost forgot that G-Day was this week.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited to see kind of what Carson Beck's going to do. We all know Stetson's the guy.
Yeah.
I'm kind of
about
getting over
that,
the whole why are people doubting Stetson being a well, those people go play in traffic blind.
If you're not a believer in Stetson,
by any means.
Yeah, if you're not a Stetson believer now, you're just a hater regardless. You hate it from day one, probably.
The guy just won the national championship. He's coming back. I mean, it is what it is at this point. But I'm excited to see Carson Beck, kind of see what Vandergrift's going to do. I think Gunnar Stockton's there early too, so I'm kind of excited to see what he's going to do as well. So the main person I'm excited to see is Carson Beck, simply because I think he's matured a little bit. I think he's grown a little bit. So I kind of want to see exactly. We didn't really get to see him, throughout this whole process, since he's been there. So I'm kind of excited to see, how much he's grown. And can he spin it? Because obviously he can, because Pickens wanted him to throw him the ball during birthday. Yeah,
I mean, he's got the physical tools to spin it. It's just a matter of where he fits in Todd Monken's offense. I mean, I think the competition for the backup job is like razor's edge thin between Vandegrift and Beck. I mean, I think they both bring a lot of dynamic tools to the table as far as doing things with their arm and their feet. It's just a matter of I think right now where Carson has the advantage is he's digested the system a little bit better than Vandegrift has. He's kind of, been the guy that's learned and picked up the most, and I'm sure he's picked Stetson's brain and JT's brain when he was still there, and JT's going to West Virginia, by the way. But that's kind of where I think the advantage lies. But if Vandegrift can overcome that, this battle is going to go well into fall camp, which means and I think Gunnar Stockton's going to, like Vandegrift, comes from a system where he was just kind of the guy, and he kind of just knew it. So there's an adjustment period for that. I mean, I don't think, coming from Rabun County into the SEC, I don't know that you can really quite jump in there with the speed of the game as fast as it is. So, just like Vandegrift, there's an adjustment period. I think that's over for Brock. It's just now getting started for Gunnar. So I think Gunnar's a year away. But I just, I'm curious because, Stetson will get his run out of, a series or two, but it'll be mostly the Carson Beck, Brock Vandegrift show in G-Day, which I hope people don't take that and run with it and going, oh, Carson Beck should be the starter. He looked good in G-Day. I just think it, obviously Stetson's the guy, but I'm excited to see kind of how they handle reps with the ones. I'm kind of seeing how comfortable they are in the pocket, how much command they have with the football.
That's it. I think, Gunnar Stockton kind of saw it. The SEC is kind of like playing Thomasville every day. You know what I mean? So we saw what happened against Thomasville. I was there. I saw it in person.
Yes.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, just seeing those guys kind of develop, I'm excited to see. I meant to shoot you this the other day. I saw an article on BMAC just talking about, just his presence being there, how much better that group's gotten already. Not that Coach Hankton was doing a bad job, because he was not. Those guys were prepared. They were ready to play. They were playmakers as well. He just came in during a time where there was a lot of injuries, so we never really got to see the full potential of that group, But right now with BMAC coming in, we pretty much came out healthy so far, knock on wood, that everything goes fine. Between today and Saturday, so I'm excited. Blaylock's back. You got Jackson, you got Mitchell, McConkie. I mean, you got so many weapons in that room. And B-Mac's kind of taken the reins and done a great job with that. I'm excited to see the offensive line. Even though we got some news this week about Mims. And let me just say this. Okay, let me tell you something about a 5-star lineman. Okay, 5-star linemen want to play football. I get it. I understand. But here's also the thing about 5-star linemen. If you're that good, then you should take the position away from the person in front of you. My whole deal is it's all about competing. It's competition. You know what I mean? If you don't want to compete, then why go to a big school and then transfer out? That's my thing. If you're going to compete and you want to play at the top level, which Georgia is the top level, compete and take his job. It's real simple.
I don't think this was about playing time.
I don't either.
I don't think him and
I keep reading.
I don't think him and Searles were jiving.
I wouldn't doubt that whatsoever, because from my understanding, and like I said, this is just hearsay. This is but he strikes me as a young man that is good. He doesn't know how good he can be, but he thinks he's the man, which is okay. I mean, that's called self-esteem. I think I'm the man every day.
I wake up. But it all comes down to when you're being pushed, because everybody needs that push. If you're being pushed, do you wake up and say, "Oh, okay, I got to press on," or are you like, "Shut up, man, get off my back"? What response are you having if somebody pushes you?
He seems to
regardless
be
of the
get
style,
off my back kind of guy.
Yeah,
and he's a good kid. I've met him one time. Seems like a good kid, and everything like that. But it's hard when you're that young to understand it. But when you get older, you start to understand it. And not to say that if he does transfer wherever he goes, he does a great job, and all his dreams come true.
I'm here in Florida State.
Time, and I heard Miami.
Yeah.
Later on, you know what I mean? So it's just one of those things where, you go to Georgia to compete, and you hear Kirby say this all the time. What's the result? The result is that you got beat out. Now what are you going to do? You're going to take your tail and run. He
got beat out halfway through spring practice.
Yeah, there's still fall practice.
I mean, I just, again, I find the whole, he's mad because he got beat out. He didn't get beat out. He probably made a few mistakes, didn't like the way Coach Searles was talking to him, and that was it.
That's college, though. I mean, nobody's
I get it.
You're lucky that you didn't grow up around John Fabris, because he probably would have. If John Fabris was coaching right now, people would quit and be in a transfer portal left and right. And I love Coach Fab.
Oh, Fab is phenomenal. Great guy.
But the way that the world is now, and these kids are today, it's all about the social media and all that stuff, which I get.
It's about likes. They get likes.
But at the same time, I mean, I'm trying to play football.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do.
And it's a generational thing, Israel, and you see it probably just as much as I do. And I think that's why when we kick kids in the ass occasionally, with love, obviously, but when we're getting after a kid, they don't respond because it's never really happened to them. And I don't see Marius Mims getting yelled at all before he stepped foot at Georgia, because people are probably patting him on the back, which, I mean, he's a great kid, but it's just the nature of how he came through school. I mean, you're being constantly fed that, and no one's pushing you to think beyond that and say, okay, yes, I'm a great player. Yes, I have all these tools. Yes, I can play in the SEC. But nobody's pushing him to continue that.
Until he got to college. And
it's too
he had
late.
To learn the hard way.
And you
had to learn the hard way.
And you learn the hard way. And he's saying, and instead of dusting himself off, he's just like, "Oh, this ain't for me. I'm going down somewhere else." It's the whole grass is greener thing. And maybe him and Searles were oil and water. and maybe it is good for him. I mean, ultimately, if he's happy and he succeeds, great, right? I'm not here to bash Amarius Mims. I'm just here to kind of say that that's kind of how I see it happening, because it's a generational thing. I see it every day where I'm at, and I'm sure you do too. And all of our friends and colleagues, we all share the war stories, of all the coaching stories of dealing with all different types of kids. So I mean, it's not a shock. That's probably likely what happened. I mean, obviously he would love to be number one on the depth chart. I'm sure that factored into it, but the fact that he was not number one on the the initial spring depth chart where Coach Searles is just trying to get used to everybody. He got outplayed in the beginning. Didn't like it.
Yeah, it's a mindset, and we see it all the time, as coaches. So I speak on this from a coaching perspective. So
that's what we bring.
Times got hard, and you decide to run. That's what it looks like to me. Times got hard and decided to run. Because the competition factor was just a little bit too much, and that's okay. I hope he goes somewhere and he does very well. I never wish bad on a young man. I'm glad there's a transfer portal. But just the way that it's happened, just everything that's come out, it just seems like you got beat and you ran. So
that's perception. Is that going to be reality? I don't know.
I don't know, but I hate it because we're real thin now. Coach Bobo's son might even have to come in and play a couple reps or two now, off the rip.
Yep.
So forget easy to men. Now, big dog, going out there, little Bobo.
Yeah,
let's go to work.
Going out there, get that work, man. So yeah, I don't know, man. It's like whatever, but I'm interested to kind of see who those guys are. I mean, Clay Webb is also another guy where's he going to go? Why is he leaving? Again, probably same thing, but we'll be fine. We've signed a lot of guys. We'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be fine. Not
we
worried about it.
Guys, and it just sucks, like when your top guy who we were just talking about like 2 weeks ago, just like, nah, I'm out.
That was
so abruptly too.
I know. It's just I click on UJ Sports. I see a tweet from Roddy, right? And then I go click on UJ Sports and I see Dash confirming it. And I'm like, okay, this is for real. Like, yeah, I was hoping that Roddy was just like retweeting some like ridiculous rumor. Then I went,
is not fake news.
And it got confirmed by Dash. And I was like, well, damn.
It is what it is.
It is what it is, man. But I'm excited to also see you talked about the receiver room as a whole. I'll get a little bit more specific. I'm interested to see Don Blaylock and Kyrus Jackson. I'm interested to see how they are holding up. I mean, I think we're past year one of their recovery. I think they're finally going to be back to what we know that they can be physically, and you hope that there's not, there's not rust on there, but, I think it's that's going to be interesting. Jackson Meeks is somebody I'm intrigued by. Denylon Morset. Those are some newcomers onto the scene that have been making some plays in these scrimmages. Of course, A.D. Mitchell, I think, is going to, if he hadn't already broken out, I think he's going to break out for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that kid, man. He kind of took his lumps at the beginning of the season after having a really strong spring when he came in. He came in early. He was our surprise guy last year. So for him to come and do what he's done and continue to progress what he's done, I mean, I'm excited to see that guy. I'm excited to see our secondary. I'm excited to see how Nyland Green's doing. I'm ready for that kid. I've seen the kid play in person. We have, to see him burst on the scene.
Yes, we have gone on and on and on about Nyland Green. Now it's time for him to. This is his time. It's a thin secondary. There's opportunity there. Now he's got to go take it.
Mm-hmm. Even if it's to the point of going to play safety. You can roll down. You like to hit. I've seen him hit. He loves contact. He's not afraid of it. So I'm kind of ready for him to burst onto the scene. We're up front seven. We're going to be good.
Right.
I mean,
exactly.
I'm just want to see those guys just not hurt anybody on Saturday. That's all you say to those guys. Just don't hurt anybody on Saturday. The running back group is going to be great. We got 3 good ones back there.
And then of course you'll have Branson Robinson coming in. So I mean, he's not an early enrollee, but he'll be coming in. He'll add some depth to that room. Dylan Edwards is, I mean, to say that he's surprising, he doesn't surprise me, and I know he doesn't surprise you. I mean, you know him even more so because he was a standout at Colquitt, down in your area. But you just watch him run, and you think, I think Elijah Holyfield immediately when I see him run.
I told Rush
and a more athletic version.
He was going to start.
Yeah.
I told Rush, I said, Rush, that boy is going to start for you for all 4 years. Rush, he'll be all right. Yeah, he started all 4 years at Colquitt.
Yeah. Old Rush, that's a name drop right there. What's old Rush up to these days?
That's my guy still, man. He's still a phenomenal coach.
Yeah.
Questionable decision making that time, but he's still a dang good coach. I think he's in Alabama now. Just kind of chilling. He's waiting on board to graduate and everything down there. So trust me, he'll be back on the scene real soon.
You want to talk about somebody whose ego is not their amigo? It's Rush Probst. Gets him into some sticky situations.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I think a very underrated skill that a lot of these defensive players have is the ability to fly around, make a play, but not really like they could deliver the kill shot, but they don't.
Yes,
like,
Quay Walker does that a lot.
I don't know if I've described that properly. But like they get to the ball in a hurry and they just at the very last second, you can see that they explode into them, and then they just kind of hit them in a way that, you're like, oh wow. And then, but it's not like a, what it would be in a game where they would just obliterate the guy.
Yeah,
that's a very underrated skill. I've always been impressed by that. But some early enrollees that again. We talked about offensive lineman. Ernest Green is an early enrollee as well. Ernest, you might be seeing some early playing time there, bub.
Yep, real fast.
And then you got Ja'Cory Thomas and Malachi Starks as DBs. Those are some guys that can do some things. Jalen Walker, I think, has a really good opportunity at linebacker, and Michael Williams has really good opportunity at defensive end. So, these defensive front guys, if this is their year.
Mm-hmm.
This is their year for sure.
Most definitely. One thing we didn't mention about this draft is the fact that they always try to say that Kirby Smart doesn't develop players. We graded the highest of dang near every player that was in the combine. Just FYI. So clearly the football smarts.
No, Israel, you're all – see, we talked about those numbers. They're all wrong. Kirby Smart is the worst. We should just hire Orgeron. Because obviously he's better. He's available.
Dude, he's living the dream.
He's visiting colleges. His son's an analyst at Miami now. Like he's somebody that he's going to enjoy that buyout money.
Man, I'm trying to go hang out with him.
I know. Go to Cabo, man. You won't have a bad time.
Absolutely not.
That dude can party. Just don't piss him off.
Yeah.
We should hire Coach O as an analyst. Start the Kirby Smart coaching rehab program. That'd be interesting.
We got a couple in there already.
We do.
Muschamp just got out.
He just got released.
We got Buster. So
we got Buster.
We got some guys there.
I mean, he's not really in the rehab program. He's just in the the doctorate course, I guess.
he's about to graduate.
Yeah, he's about to graduate. But going back on Muschamp, the more and more I watched the national championship and kind of thought about what his defenses looked like throughout his career, the more I saw the influence that he had in that national title game, because it looked different.
I think him and
yeah.
How do you say it? I'm gonna make sure I say his last name right.
I think it's Schumann.
Schumer?
I think it's Schumann. Yeah, I think it's Schumann.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I say names right and stuff. I think they did a phenomenal job of getting that defense ready, keeping with the scheme they had and adding a little bit to it.
They added their twist to it.
Definitely Muschamp zone coverages. That's for sure.
Our coverage techniques were good. Our positioning, our communication was a lot better. Just leads me to believe that Lanning's not really much of a zone guy, which there's nothing wrong with that. But
nothing wrong with it.
It just anytime we tried to go zone coverage, it just seemed like we were fish out of water. But I think we'll see a lot more zone. I think we'll have to see a lot more zone because our front seven is not going to be as electric as it was last year.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best.
Just be creative. That's all you got to do.
Yeah. What about Eric Gilbert?
I'm just glad he's back. He doesn't even have to play it down this spring. For me, I'm just glad he's back. He's in uniform. He's smiling. He's having a good time.
Yeah.
Just for him to even make that leap, is good enough for me.
Yeah.
Not really into, all right, well, he did this, he did that. No, I'm just glad he's back with us.
Yeah, I just want to see him run around, catch some passes. I just want to see him be involved. I mean, can you imagine? We talked about this last night. We were talking about we were doing some brief spring updates, and they were asking me about Eric Gilbert, and they're like, well, Georgia's finally going to see some 23 personnel. That's going to be scary. I said, yeah. Who's going to be really paying attention to that is Paul Christ up at Wisconsin. We're going to show them how to use a 23 personnel package effectively, the right way, with Darnell, Brock, and Gilbert, and then obviously McIntosh and Milton. So I can't wait to see Eric Gilbert because I think he's going to be such a factor. He's not just the fact that he's a mismatch. I think he's going to do some special things. He doesn't have to prove to me that he's going to be effective. He doesn't have to go out there and do anything special. I think he just has to go out there and play his game and just do his thing.
I just want to see him in pads, man.
Yep.
See him in pads, running around, smiling, having a good time.
I want to see him high five a couple people. I mean, I would even first game of the year. I would be okay with him getting a celebration penalty.
Oh yeah,
I would be okay with that.
He's back.
He's back.
That's all people need to know.
Let's do it. Speaking of he's back, a little basketball news. Some good news finally. You lose the entire team to the transfer portal.
Yeah, that's wild.
Well, Super Cario Quindo is coming back. He's decided that he's going to bring his 15.2 points per game back to the Bulldogs. I guess he liked what he heard from Mike White, and he's decided to return to the program, which is a huge boost. I think we'll get a few more coming back out of the portal because of Quindo. I think Quindo's good. I think he was kind of the glue that held our team together. I mean, obviously they were checked out mentally, but they didn't totally quit. They kind of played hard. They just didn't play together. They just weren't really into it, but they just kind of played hard for each other, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But I think Quindo was the glue that kind of held this team from going complete mutiny on Tom Crean.
Yeah, man. I think that's a big get. I think that I think the guys that entered the transfer portal are guys that were like they don't really care or in their mind, they don't really care about the basketball program anyway. Just from a standpoint of,
because most of them came from the transfer portal. Most of them came from the portal. It meant nothing to them.
Yeah, so it's like, it's just another day. But I think, with new coach coming in, you got one of your top guys staying. So, I think that's the best part.
Yeah, I'm excited. Dude's a huge
I'm excited
man.
Just in case if they do, stay in the transfer portal. That's up scholarship, which means we can get better players. Whether it's recruits.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win situation no matter what.
Yeah, I think so.
You hate to lose it. You hate to lose them, but at the same time, you're like, appreciate it.
Did we really get besides Aquindo? Did we really, as Georgia fans, did we really get attached to anybody?
Not really.
No, I didn't get attached to anybody really.
Not like the girls' basketball team and losing Barker like that.
Yeah, Barker. That's a tough one.
That's a tough one there now.
That's a tough one. But her, dad played at Alabama, so she's probably going to go there.
She also picked up a couple of recruits this week.
Mm-hmm.
So basketball is getting exciting right now, which is great, in my opinion. Yeah. I think basketball is getting there's some little buzz is going on over there at the Coliseum. So I'm excited.
It is a good thing. So. Okay, but before we wrap this thing for the weekend, gotta throw our obligatory baseball highlights.
17-15 win the other night against Kennesaw.
Yeah,
I saw that one.
Well, we got thumped by A&M 8-1 tonight. They're it was bad. They got off to a 1-0 lead. But they, Texas A&M's starting pitcher, he went 8 strong. Couldn't do much after that. Couldn't really hold him out. I think these injuries in the pitching staff are just starting to pile up now.
Mm-hmm. I think the pitching has got a lot to do with it, and we're not hitting the ball. What's the best way to help a pitcher to struggling? Hit the ball.
Yeah, hit the ball.
Let's not go 3 up, 3 down. Make him go back out there and struggle some more.
Have an approach at the plate. Put the ball.
Our approaches are horrendous.
I think
it makes me bad watching it.
I think everybody is trying to play gorilla ball. We talked, we talked about this last night too. Ironically, everybody's trying to play gorilla ball. Nobody wants to move runners. Nobody wants to put the ball in the gap and run. Nobody wants to play small ball, which that sounds so weak, but hell, I'll play small ball and score runs.
Small ball gets you drafted.
Yeah, it's all about runs. And what sparked this conversation?
I'm making my kids watch Tony Gwynn's baseball tape.
Exactly. Tony Gwynn was there's nobody like Tony Gwynn. Like 3 for 4, he was probably not wanting to talk to reporters because he didn't go 4 for 4.
Exactly.
But
he flew out.
Nowadays, you hit a 500-foot bomb and then you strike out 3 times and you're over there beating your chest like, yeah, I hit a 500-foot bomb. No, you struck out 3 times with runners in scoring position.
Batting 250 because that ain't good.
You're batting 250, which means if you're doing that on the regular, there's probably nights where you don't hit as well. So your average is probably 160. And you're leaving a small village on the base paths every game. So, what impact does that have? No, just hit the damn ball hard somewhere on the ground or on the line. Put it in a gap and run, man.
What happened to bunting? People don't bunt no more.
Yeah.
Hit and run. Nobody does that anymore.
Situational baseball is dead.
It's
dead.
Me. Especially like a day like today, I'm getting my brains beat in 8-1. And you think I'm gonna keep sending players up there just to keep swinging the bat? No, one get on, he's moving one way or another.
Go deep into the count. Like we're swinging too damn early. Take the pitcher deep into the count. Make him throw pitches.
Taking too many pitches. We're taking too many pitches too.
Yeah, we just have no approach. Like, we don't allow a struggling pitcher to struggle. Because we help them out. Yeah. Or we allow a good pitcher to be good because we don't swing the bat. you get a pitcher up there that throws strikes a lot of times. You know, sometimes the Florida series was great. I thought our approach was great. I thought our bats were good. I thought our guys were comfortable. I thought we jumped on pitchers early and caused them to struggle.
That was the first time where we looked good. Like everything was together. You know what I'm saying? Defense was good. Pitching was good. Hitting was better. You know, so like it was a great all around performance. Now or before that,
it was brutal. But
we look like two different teams.
It's so inconsistent, and we don't know which team. Like tomorrow, we could come out and win 17-2. Like exactly. that's what kind of team we are. We're either feast or famine. Yeah, we're either feast or famine.
We're too much up and down right now.
Exactly. So I
don't feel good if we just kind of stayed even keel for a little while. You know what I mean? Well, like have a 3-2 game. You know, things like that. 1-0. That'd be great.
Have a game where you kind of, you know, pitchers need to step up a little bit. You know, next guy up, whatever. But last thing. Okay, if you're Dave Roberts, are you keeping Clayton Kershaw in the game?
Probably not.
He's got a perfect game going. It's the bottom of the 8th inning. He's pitched seven. He's pitched 7 perfect innings.
He's very much accident prone.
I'm still not pulling him. It's April.
Yeah, but
I'm letting him go.
He might not come back till October, and then October he might hurt his toe, and then he comes back in the second round of the playoffs.
Well, October Kershaw is completely different, but I'm letting him get the perfect game.
Yeah, I'm letting him roll tonight.
I'm letting him roll.
He's got a perfect game.
I'm letting him roll. I mean, obviously,
check on him, make sure, see how he feels and stuff like that. But
he was only sitting at 80 pitches.
That's kind of up there. Is he still hitting the same velocity?
Yeah,
everything's still good.
Yeah, he struck out.
He feels good.
He was sitting on 13 strikeouts, 80 pitches. He was feeling good. Didn't look like much of a downgrade from the first inning. I mean, dude was dealing.
27 outs, 13 number strikeouts.
I mean, the ball was heavy because it was cold. It was up in Minnesota.
He's still dealing.
And he was dealing. They couldn't hit it. They couldn't touch his curveball. He wasn't pounding the zone with a bunch of fastballs either.
And if he's rolling, let him go.
He was rolling.
As long as he's feeling good, leave him in.
Yeah, I think you leave him in, and then as soon as somebody gets a hit, you take him out.
Yeah.
As soon as he loses the perfect game, pull him. But as long as it's perfect, leave it alone. I mean, they ended up winning the game, but just let him ride. Let him. I mean, it's only happened. It would have been the 24th all time. Like 24 people in the history of baseball, history of Major League Baseball, have thrown a perfect game. Yeah, I don't know what benefit. Yeah, whatever. But I just thought it was. I just thought it was one of those things where like paralysis by analysis and all this analytics stuff kind of, went by the. I thought he overthought it. I felt like he just outcoached himself on that. Like, oh, he's at 80 pitches now. Like he's going by the card, and not, hey, this guy's dealing, man. I don't have like, if you get a chance, every chance you can get to preserve your bullpen, you take it.
Especially like that.
And you got a veteran guy out there. I mean, I would understand if it was some second year, fifth starter, just having a lucky outing. But still, I mean, you preserve your bullpen.
Just see him in the inning. Big dog, you good? All right, well, you going back out there as long as you good.
Yeah. Hey, your arm hurting? No. Cool. Get back out there. It's Clayton Kershaw. The dude's been your ace for a decade.
Literally.
He's earned that.
I do hope he can stay healthy this year, though.
What's that?
I said I hope he can stay healthy this year.
I do too. I do too, but I don't think this game would have had any bearing on that. So, but anyway, but it's looking about that time. It got late real early around here.
Yeah, time's moving these days, boy. It's moving fast.
Today was we had a teacher in service day today. It was like a stockpile day. We get all these inclement weather days, and when we don't use them all, they let us have days like today, where they're like stockpiled PD days. Which our PD days, like, this is why I love our principal, because our PD days are like some schools, they do like wall to wall, like you're sitting in trainings for like from 8 to 2, and it's just stuff that you could most of it's stuff that you could probably just read in an email. No, our principal's like, okay, what do we absolutely need as a whole group? Okay, we're going to do just that. So we did from 8 to 11. And it was we're doing EOC testing. So like part of it was, we did 3 sessions. So one session was testing. One session was like our academy meeting, where we meet as an academy and go over like logistics stuff, where I present instructional strategies and talk about progress reports. And then our other session was, hey, here's what's coming up next year. Like, here's what we're thinking about for next year. Like, we're hiring these positions for next year. This is our budget. We've got these growth positions. Like what other principal's doing that? Being that detailed at this time of year for next year. So it's outstanding. So we and then the rest of the day was like, okay, it's 11 o'clock. Get your progress reports done. I'm not really looking for you.
Holla, holla. Two fingers to the sky.
That's right. So, but it's cool, man. So that's what we do. We got and then because it didn't snow as much this year, May 3rd is just a complete day off. It's another stockpile day that they awarded us because we didn't use them all. School board had to vote on it, and they unanimously voted that it was off for everybody. Yeah.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
We don't have workouts tomorrow morning, so I'm going to sleep good tonight, let me tell you.
There you go. Well, we can go another 3 hours then.
Absolutely. Next time, maybe.
Maybe in the summer. Do a marathon session.
Summertime, I'm all for it.
There you go. Maybe we should do our own version of a Manning cast if we can get those rights to be able to pop the game on in between us. Do like our very own Manning cast. We invite TK to roll through, Vince to roll through, Jay, JSW, Prince, all those guys.
Funny.
Caleb King.
That'd be good stuff.
All your coaching buddies. Get some of my coaching buddies to roll through, especially if we're playing Tennessee. We can make fun of them. So
that'd be funny. It'd be good stuff for real.
That would be. I wonder if we'd have the rights to live stream that. That'd be interesting. Pick like one game to try it out with, just as a sample.
Just noticed it looked like I murdered somebody because my son got sucker red stuff all over my shirt. I just saw it in the camera. I'm like, what is that? Is that a shadow on my shirt? And I was like, oh, that's a blow pop sucker.
There you go. Hey, I didn't even notice it.
Man.
I didn't even notice it. You're good. Plus it's one of your workout shirts anyway, so you're good. It's one of your football shirts. It's probably stays dirty. That's all good.
Absolutely.
That's why I cannot own white t-shirts. because I don't own them very long because they get fat. I feel you.
It definitely be like that sometimes.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. Can't go with the white shirt. Gotta go with the gray or the black, or like the dark team color.
Absolutely.
Less stains. So, anyway, and if I'm in a white T-shirt, you better not take me anywhere near an Italian or Mexican place, because that salsa or that marinara is going to be right down Broadway.
Boy, let me put your bib on.
I know, I really do. I really do. Like that's not even a stretch. Not even a stretch. So, but anyway, we're gonna wrap this thing up. We are going to wish you a good, happy Easter weekend. Catch that G-Day game on Saturday. Follow us on social media. Check us out. We'll be with you all spring and summer long. We'll be getting you ready for the 2022 season, and we'll be wrapping up the spring sports. We'll be having a little fun in the summer, and we're gonna continue to bring the stuff. So it's gonna be a fun show moving forward. I can't wait. I can't wait to have Joe back on post draft, and we'll get this thing moving. So for Israel Troupe, I'm Corey Burton. We are the Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast, presented by BetOnline.ag, and coming at you on Brinks TV as well. Hit us up on social media. Have a great Easter. We'll see you back here next week with another edition. So long. See you later. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
This is the Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast on the Believe Podcast Network.